morning, friends, and welcome to another episode of the CamijoKnit Podcast. Today we're going to do things a little bit differently. Saying good morning to you here. It's because it's still early. I think it's almost 9 o'clock in the morning. It is Thursday, April 24th. Today is my husband's 50th birthday. Happy birthday, honey, if you're watching this. He is at work, so he is out of the country and somewhere out on the sea and celebrating his 50th birthday. I think it's very sad that he's not home, and he's like completely fine. He's like, it's just another day like any other day, and we can celebrate once I get back. And I know that's all true, but I just really ache that he's not here. I think it's so sad. But let that be. Today I'm going to take you with me to the dye studio and talk a little bit about the process behind dyeing yarn, some of my failures, and some of my greater moments being a hand dyer. It's not always easy, and not everything I make turns out beautifully. The good thing about colors is that even when I think I didn't hit it like I wanted to, sometimes I get a color that is just not exactly what I wanted. There's always someone else who's going to love that color. Yeah, so I will talk about that at the studio. We'll see what happens, and I think maybe we'll even dye some yarn together. But before we go, I have some finished projects that I want to show you before we leave, because I have had some things that I'm working on. And first of all, let me share with you. Maybe the lighting is not that good. Let me turn on some more. Usually when I sit down to record, I'll make sure that everything is just perfect. My surroundings are perfect and the door is closed and I've cleaned up. I didn't do that today because I am on my way out the door. I'm going to pick up Tina, my partner in crime, in a little bit. So I just really need to get some footage so we could get going. But let me show you my DJO sweater. I have finished the bottom of it, and I was not really true to the pattern when it comes to when to use what colors, and I am sure the designer will be just happy that you interpret whatever you want to do yourself. I kind of just like these softy peach, almost orange kind of colors. And now I'm adding some blue, which is really out of my comfort zone. One, because I think it's a very bright blue, but also because blue is just something I'm having a little trouble with, and that will be one of the topics for today's subject when we talk about dyeing yarn at the studio. I just wanted to share this with you. I think once it is washed and blocked, it will be the length and width that I want. Right now it's a little too short and a little too tight, but I'm certain that will be great once I block this. I was so excited to knit on this sweater when I was introduced to the design by the Danish podcasters Helle and Merete from De Løse Ender. And I have so enjoyed working on this. Now I can tell, working on sleeves, and I really want to have this done. But the good thing is that with these sleeves, because they are so huge, you can just do short circular needles and knit in the round, and that's just way easier than doing magic loop. I think doing magic loop on sleeves is just, for me at least, tough. I have a tendency to have a tighter gauge when I knit sleeves on magic loop, so for me to do just a whole to do it on circular needles, not doing magic loop, is just perfect. Another thing I really want to share with you is this. I had a beautiful Easter. Unfortunately, Lars was not home, but the girls were here, and one of my best friends, she stayed here for a few days, and we went to see family and did puzzles and good food and just long walks, and we just really had a nice time. But the whole family went to my mom and dad's for Easter lunch. It's a big thing here. You do the Easter lunch, and we have sun eggs, we call it. It's like hard-boiled, pickled, salted eggs. You take out the yolk. I'll put a picture of it here. You take out the yolk, you put in Tabasco, mustard, oil and vinegar. You put the yolk back in. Then you'll have a schnapps or a beer, and you just eat that egg, like half an egg, and you eat it. And it's, I have never tried it before. It's a big tradition in the area where my parents are from, but we just for some reason never had that. But we did this Easter, and it was really fun and good in a strange way, but it was perfect with a cold beer. You need that, a little alcohol to kind of dim the spiciness, but it was good. Anyway, I was with my auntie, and those of you who follow along knows that my aunt has a very special place in my heart. She is for sure my creative, where I got my creativity from when it comes to craft. Creativity runs in my family. My great-grandfather was a painter, and I have some of his paintings. You can see some of those in the background. And I have one aunt, my mom's sister's a ceramic. I have another sister, she also does ceramic works and also paints. And I think they're all pretty creative except for my mom's little brother, and my mom is not really that creative either. Anyway, my auntie has been working for some time on a Cozy Memories blanket using only my yarns. And she said, you can bring it home if you want to take some pictures, or if you want to just have it in your showroom for a little while for people to get inspired and look at this beauty. I think it is so beautiful that this is what I'm going to do as well. I have so many gorgeous minis from example. I have shown you this before, but I like my Easter bundle and my Easter bundle from the year before, and I have some Advent minis that I haven't used from the first year that I did my Advent calendar. And even though I am now working on a project for my Advent from last year, by Hans Christian Andersen, I'm still not completely happy. I think this might be the answer to my prayer, a way to combine all the minis that I dyed during the years from special boxes, and I hold them all dear to my heart, and I just really need the perfect project for all of these minis to have their little place, like a little shelf of memories, if that makes sense and doesn't sound too corny. But my auntie did this. It's pretty big actually. And I love the colors. Yeah, but I just want to show you this because I think it's gorgeous. I will take it with me to the studio today and see if I can take some pictures. We have this lighting box that's really good for taking pictures. Or maybe I should actually do this outside in my couch on the terrace. What else am I working on? I'm still working on my tea rose sweater. I didn't do a lot of progress on that, so I think I will not share that one with you. And then I have mainly been working on my DJO sweater, and I have finished a design for Tina because I'm not even sure I'm allowed to say anything about it, so maybe I shouldn't, and we can ask her when we get to the studio if it's still a secret. But I am working on something for her, and that took up a lot of my knitting time during Easter. So I haven't been able to share that with you, and I probably can't share that with you for some time, but it's going to be good. And then I just casted on a pair of socks for Lars because it is his 50th birthday, and I want to give him a pair of socks for when he comes home. So if you're watching, honey, I'm sorry to spoil the surprise, but I'm sure you'll get over it. And I'm also promised that I'll get you something else besides home knitted socks. Yeah, okay. I think that was the most important stuff to talk about from the house, and then I'll just take you with me, and we'll dye some yarn and have a little yarn talk. Welcome to the dye studio. I have some blues hanging behind me. I dyed those yesterday, mainly because I was standing in front of all my yarn that I just showed you, some of the yarns from my racks. I was just looking at them and I was uninspired. I wanted to do some new colors. And I was just kind of looking to see, is there any color that is not really represented here at the CamijoKnit yarn headquarter? And Tina came stopped by yesterday, and I said, I really need to do some new colors. I want to do something new, and I just don't know where to start. I don't know what color to dye. And she said, well, you need something very light blue, because that is Tina's favorite color. And I just have a block of some sort when it comes to blue. It's not that I don't like blue. I like blue. I wear a lot of blue clothes, and a dark marine blue is really one of my go-to colors. And but when it comes to dyeing blue, I have talked about this before, back when I was dyeing yarn at the house, that a Danish podcaster kind of challenged me because she loves blue, but her color blue is very bright, very bright, kind of a 90s blue, and that is not my favorite color. I have one blue that I really love. Actually, I have two blues that I really love. One is Njord, which is the first blue that I had in my collection, and I still dye that color. It's very popular. And then I have a blue called Famous Blue that I just showed you. Maybe I should just grab those two colors. So this is Njord. It's just a very dark, deep blue that is not teal and not purple. It is just a very nice navy blue. And this one is Famous Blue. And it has a little bit of warmth to it, kind of like an indigo kind of color that I personally love very much. Tina wanted something more pale, lighter blue, and she said something close to the one you did for your oyster colorway. And this, when I did this colorway, it was just a mix of leftovers, so I don't have the exact pattern for this, and that is okay. I just really needed to explore new ways to do blue and just kind of connect with blue. And I find it difficult because I think blue, for me at least, easily just turns out ugly. When blue is a good blue, it's gorgeous. When blue is a bad blue, it's not good. Let me show you two solid colors that I did yesterday, and let me talk to you a little bit about the difference on those two. They're hanging right here behind me. So these are dyed with the same, it's the same color, and this one is like this. It's light. It is a light blue. On camera it turns out a little bit. It's always difficult because on camera, especially blue tones can change a lot. So they will either go a little bit more aqua, or they can go more purple. In real, I don't know, close. It's close to what I'm seeing, what you're seeing. But this is light blue. I will add some pictures of this yarn when I take them upstairs in my light box, so you can tell. This is what they look like here, and I will, for comparison, I will add a picture here so you can tell what this color looks like. But this is the color that I dyed yesterday, and I had two dye baths, one with this one, and actually two dye baths. But in this dye bath, I also added some gray, because that will kind of tone the brightness down a little bit. And it turned out like this. So you can tell it doesn't have the same. I will twist these. I will lay them besides each other, and I'll put that picture in here so you can tell the difference between the blue. I think they turned out pretty good. I would like to have them in a lighter version, so I'm not done playing around with these. I have 5 of each, and of course I will have them online so you can get these. They won't be back in the shop because this is not the exact color that I'm going for. And then Tina said, well, it's also pretty when you have like a white background on the yarn, and then you just kind of add a little bit of sprinkles and just kind of let those bleed into the water and have that very light blue color. So I was playing around with some colors of blue yesterday, and I'll just show you. They're right back here. And then I think we will just dye and attempt together. These are 3 colors. It's not 3 colors. It is 3 different bases, but it is 1 color. I did play around on my silk mohair base, which is now called Silky Kit Mohair, and it has a little bit of different tones of blue. You can tell sometimes colors will break. I love it when it does that, and I was just adding some blue, and you can see that it breaks into a touch of purple because the dye powders are not true to color. So if you have a dye powder that is a warm blue, it's actually pigments of course blue, but also some red to add that warmth. So when you dye with that color, if you put it into a can of warm water, all those pigments will just kind of grow into the water, and they will melt, and the color will be cohesive. But because when you sprinkle, you don't make the color first, you just sprinkle all the pigments that will eventually become that color, the colors can break. So when they hit the yarn, even though it's supposed to be blue, it will break into all the different tones that will make that color. So this is why sometimes I have colors that breaks, and I have a gray that can break into tiny bits of mustard. And people, I have had one lady tell me one time, there are tiny bits of mustardy speckles on my yarn. It must be a mistake, and it's not a mistake. It's just the way that the color will act. And to me, it's a charm. Yeah, so anyway, this has a little bit more of a turquoise kind of vibe, more than I wanted. I love that color, but that is not what I was going for. And I have so many blue colors, and it's just fun to play around. So I think we'll do another one today. And this is on my Suri alpaca. It's so sad that you can't feel the yarn through the screen, because this is just the softest of soft. And turns out like this. I will twist these 3. And this is on my single 366 base. I will twist these 3, put the picture here, so you can tell what they look like when they're all twisted. But let's soak some water and see if we can do a new version. I want it lighter, and I don't want any aqua, maybe some more gray. So I think we will play around with some more toned down blues and some gray, and I really want to add some mustard, but I think I will not. I'll see if I can stay true to the concept of only dyeing blue and gray, and see if we can get something. Maybe some sand would be great as well, like a spacey sand color. We'll see. But these we'll put online once I find a name. What does this look like? Well, anyway, I will think about that, and I will put up the camera here so you can follow along while we prepare the yarn to be dyed. So when I want to try a new color and I want to test a new colorway, I usually use one of two bases. Either my single ply merino, which is the singles 366. I love that base because it is a yarn that will just take the dye beautifully. So it's kind of the best canvas to test my colors. Or I will do my CamijoKnit base, which is just my go-to base. It's just so versatile. You can use that base for anything, and I love that base. So maybe today we should do both. I will do 5 skeins of the CamijoKnit base and 5 skeins of the single 366. Lay those beside each other. Do the exact same thing to do both dye baths, and then we will see what they look like when they are done. Of course, because we're dyeing today, I am not sure that we will have an end result ready for you to see, because it won't be dry until tomorrow. I can't twist it, but you'll get an idea, hopefully. And you can always go online once the podcast is out, and you can see the result. I will link down below to the yarn so you can see the finished product. But let me find some yarn and put that in one of my big buckets here. They need to soak for about 20 minutes before we dye, but I will speed that process up so you don't have to wait 20 minutes. I put the yarn in these strips so I can handle those even when they are in the warm water. I can grab these. It's easier when I soak them and they won't tangle into each other, so I always have them in these strips, and they are reusable, so I can just open this and close it, and that way I don't waste a lot of plastic. I do have to throw them out occasionally. They wear out, and the fun thing is that when I buy these, they are transparent, so they actually take the dye as well, so they end up pitch black, even though in the beginning they were completely see-through. And I will show you that the next time I buy new ones. Well, let me get all these stripped and soaked. I changed my mind. I took 5 skeins of my merino sock, which is my favorite yarn to knit socks with. It is a 2-ply yarn, 365 meters per 100 grams. So it is a little plumper than my CamijoKnit base, which is 425 meters per 100 grams. So this is a little bit thicker, just a tiny bit, but it gives that plumpness, so when you knit socks, it'll just kind of fill the gaps, and I love that with socks. So I did 5 of these instead, but let's soak them. Dye yarn, I of course always make sure that I take care of my clothes. I have this, my apron, so I don't ruin my clothes. I have over the years ruined a lot of clothes, and my husband will go, "Are you going to dye in that sweater?" And I'll say, "Yeah, that's fine." Bad idea. And I also always wear my mask because my colors are powders. I will show you that in a bit. And they will fly in the air. And it's not that I think it's too dangerous to be in the room while I dye, but since I am breathing these dyes all the time, I am wearing my mask. Safety first. we are done dyeing these two new blue ones, and I'm very, very pleased. They have the exact hue of what I went for. So this is what happens sometimes when I try to develop new colors. I have to experiment a whole lot, and also to see how the different colors react. I have a tendency to use the same colors. Let me show you this is what it looks like. So when I dye yarn, you can see I have all my colors here. And of course, some of these colors I use more than others. So I have my favorites. And also, I don't know how many different colors I have here, but I have a lot. And maybe I have around 20 different blue. And what I do when I dye my yarns, I will always have a mix of different colors. So I know that I can make my own colors that no one else can make the exact same. I have a few colors that is only one from when I started to dye, and I experimented and I found some colors that I really loved. But apart from those, it's usually a mix. And knowing what color a color is when you add it to the pan, into the water, and it all kind of, I want to say digests, but that is when the water absorbs the color will be, the color will be what it is supposed to be. And when you use it for speckles, as I explained before, all the pigments will kind of break out. So, and it can vary, because some of the colors will be fine when I speckle them and they will stay true, and others will not. And I don't necessarily know for every color that I have here exactly how they're going to react in water versus speckles, versus when I mix them with citric acid and then speckle. All the different techniques we use. So it's always fun to kind of explore, and sometimes they will act differently. When I dye like advents or yarn clubs, I will have to do the experiment while I dye the yarn. So sometimes I will learn in that process. It is also why it is so fun for me to do these yarn clubs, because I am not in full control of exactly how it's going to look. Most of the time I know how the end result will be, but it is just like cooking. Even though you have done the same recipe a lot of times, you can always have a variation anyway. And that is the beauty of dyeing yarn. You never end up with anything that is exactly the same, except for my very solid colors. They will be almost identical every time. But with speckles, it's all how much acid is in the pan, how much water is in the pan, and how much do you speckle. That is not exact every time. That is the beauty of it. So doing these experiments really is good for me. It's a good way for me to kind of know my colors in depth. All the colors that I don't use as much. So today I used 3 different colors. One I know very well. I know exactly how it's going to act when I speckle, and I know exactly how it's going to react color-wise. The 2 other blues that I use today, I usually don't use those that much. So I didn't know exactly how they would react. I did test one of them yesterday with the blue speckle one I just showed, and I knew that was the one I really wanted, and then I added a gray. So it turned out just the way I wanted it to, and that is good. It's good knowledge for me to have in the bank, which is my mind. So good experiment. I hope that you enjoyed watching me work a little bit here behind the scenes. And if you like more of this kind of content, of this whole developing colors and dyeing yarn, you please let me know. I'll be happy to do more of these videos. I enjoy it very much, but yeah, I guess it's okay to do a little bit of different things so you can see the variety of work that I do here in the business. But I will close the camera for now. I have other things to do. I might do another color. If I do that today, I will turn on the camera and take you with me for that process. If not, I will see you back at the house and we'll do a wrap up there and talk a little bit more about how it's going with this year's Advent. I have dyed 5 colors so far, and I'm very pleased. And yeah, I'll see you at the house, or maybe here later, who knows. Well, I am back at the house, and it actually is the next day because time kind of just flew by. Once I was at the studio and I actually dyed some of the yarn for my yarn club next month, which will be revealed on May 1st, so stay tuned for that. And remember, if you want CamijoKnit news immediately, like when is the new when is the Advent calendar available? When will the next sock set for the Yarn Club be available? When is there a good discount? And if you want to be the first to know the new patterns, the new stuff that's going on, and also because pre-orders, sometimes they'll just sell out immediately. Subscribe to my newsletter. That is just the best way to get the news first. Then I can tell you that this year's Advent, as you probably know if you watched the latest episode, is Little Women. And I am color inspired by the movie from 2019. And I love that movie to death. It's just such a good movie. And I'm so happy to hear that so many of you love that movie as well. As soon as I released the theme or announced the theme, I had so much positive feedback on that theme. So I'm very excited. I'm watching the movie like in bits and deciding what to dye, who to dye, what situations to dye. And I've had a few requests. I have had people write me and say this scene or this line or this particular location is just so gorgeous. And keep posting or keep sending me these small helpful opinions on special scenes or stuff from the movie that you enjoy very much, or a color from the movie. That's so much fun. And also next month's theme will be announced on May 1st. This year I'm doing underwater invertebrates, which means animals underwater that does not have bone structure inside. Very fun theme. Next year I have something completely different in mind, so I'm very excited to share that with you a little later during the year maybe, or maybe we'll wait until January. We'll see about that. Anyway, I'm back at the house and I just want to share with you that I have a new pattern out. It is this very cute kids bubble sweater. It is knit in my single 220 base, which is a single ply merino, 100% merino yarn. The yarn is super perfect for this pattern because it makes the bubbles stand out just beautifully. So it's just gorgeous. It's also perfect for my bubbles hat, my bubbles mittens, which is called pillow moss mittens, and Anna's bubble cardigan. It's also a 4mm knit. And you can even do my baby bubble blanket in this yarn. The only bad thing about this yarn is that it has a tendency to kind of have these little, and I don't know what they are called. But that's the only thing. But you can, those kind of, you can like comb them out, and just be careful you don't comb out the bubbles. Be careful with bubbles. But you can comb those off. I have done that before with a sweater of mine. I have done designs in this yarn before. I had the yarn in my shop before I started to dye yarn. I would use a single merino wool just like this from Fru Valborg, and she doesn't dye yarn anymore. But luckily, I can decide on what bases I have in the shop. This is a size 4. It is knit in the colorway Snow Owl. And it looks like this when it is in a yarn skein. But I also did bring home with me some of my other colors just to share, because I'm really in love with some of these colors, or these are some of my favorite colors, I should say. This is my honey plum that I really love. If you want to do for the boys or the girls, you know. But I just like this asphaltos. This is a very cool dark gray. Coquinas, which is an all-time favorite of mine, has been in the shop forever, and I will have this forever. Or Buttercup, which is one of my personal favorite colors. I love this colorway. And I just read on online that this soft buttery yellow will be one of the hottest colors this year. So anyway, I just wanted to let you know that it is available now on both Ravelry and my shop. Yes, so Advents are out. Order those before they sell out. And new pattern is out. What else? I'm working on my sweater. I think that is all I have to say. My next episode will be episode number 100. And I'm thinking we should do something extraordinary in that episode. If you have any ideas or anything you would like for me to do in that episode, please let me know. And also, if you just have something, good ideas for content, if you have something that you're just so curious about, that you would like for me to record or talk about, or anything, please let me know. I'll be happy to do whatever you want. And sometimes I just don't get the idea. And maybe you just sitting on the other side thinking, why are these podcasters never talking about this or that? And I will be happy to do that. So if you have a good idea for content, please let me know. Yeah, I think that's it for now, guys. Oh, by the way, I almost forgot. My latest episode, or a few episodes ago, I talk about how Lars and I are going to get his final scan to see if he's fine or not. And I never returned on with the good news that all the scans were good. And he's cancer-free, and he's back at work. So so far so good. We're very happy. On the other hand, my dog is not doing so well, but don't get me started on that. I will see you in 2 weeks from now. Take care. Bye.